Hey guys, we're going to do homework 6. This is on isosceles and equilateral triangles. So let's do it. This means 2 equal sides and 2 equal angles. This means put your name right there. The word equilateral means 3 equal sides, 3 equal angles. Okay, so this one isn't any of the above. It's just kind of a review. This is called a scalene. That means this is 3, this is 4. And I actually know that's 5 because this, you maybe don't know this, but this is the most famous triangle of all time. It's very, very popular. This is a right angle. So Pythagoras says a right angle, the 2 legs, if we square each leg, will equal the hypotenuse squared. So 3 squared plus 4 squared would equal the hypotenuse squared. Now they called their hypotenuse y, which is fine. I can change the letter c to a y. So I have 9 plus 16 is equal to y squared. So y squared is equal to 25. Which means when I take the square root of both sides, I get 5. So this has to be 5. Why? Because 3 squared plus 4 squared happens to equal 5 squared. Cool. What else do I know? Well, there is telling me I can solve for this missing angle. So even though it's not isosceles or equilateral, I know that's 90, that's 65. So if we think about the sum of the angles, this is true. Even if it's not an isosceles, the sum of the angles has to add up to 180. So I have a 90 and a 65. So that means these two add up to 155. So if I take 180 and I subtract 25. Cool. So y is 5 and x is 25. Let's double check those. 25 plus 65, 80, 90. Yep, and 90 plus 90 is 180. Double check. Next one. 3 equal angles. So I'm willing to bet this is an equilateral triangle. 3 equal sides, 3 equal angles. So if this is 5y, this has to be 5y, this has to be 5y. And equilateral triangle has 3 lines of symmetry. This one didn't have any. But so you might be thinking, well, great, I don't know what this is though. So there's a couple ways to answer this. But remember, if all 3 angles are equal, 3 times the mystery angle has to add up to 180. So the mystery angle has to be 60 because 3 times 60 is 180. So we know that 5y has to equal 60 because 60 is the measure of every angle in an equilateral triangle. So y here would have to be 12 because 5 times 12 is 60. Now let's solve for x. We know that all 3 sides of an equilateral are equal 3 equal sides, so this side has to equal that side. So let's set that up. This side has to equal that side. Okay, so I get x is equal to 4. Now you might think, well, what if I made a mistake? Is there any way I could double check my work? Sure, I'm glad you asked. If we plug x back in, 3 times 4 is 12, and 12 plus 2 is 24. If we plug x back in here, 5 times 4 is 20. Take away 6 is... Wait, I did this wrong. 12 plus 2 is 14. 20 minus 6 is 14. Yep, so those 2 sides really are equal because 14 is equal to 14. Okay, last question on the top. So it looks like, since that's 4 and that's 4, this is my line of symmetry. So I got 66. This has to be 66. These are base angles. And I'm like, that's similar to one we did in class, 65, 65, 50. So it's going to be close to that, 60, 60, and the 1 left over. So 60 plus 66 plus the 66 is 132. So I can solve for y, 48. Beautiful. Fun. These are so much fun. All right. Let's look at the next question. All 3 sides are equal. All 3 sides are equal. All 3 sides are equal. Cool. So these are all 60. These are all 60. These are all 60. 60. Y is 60. That's 40. 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 So 4x has to equal 40, which means x has to be 10. Cool. So cool. Equilateral. What do they mean? Well, it looks like they're trying to say this big one is an equilateral. So maybe if we twisted it, it would look more equilateral. Okay. Cool. So that means it has 3 lines of symmetry. Here, here, and here. But they already put this one down, so we'll use that one. So if this is a line of symmetry, if this is 5y, that has to be 5y. But wait, if it's an equilateral triangle, don't they all have to be equal to 60? Yep. So 5y has to equal 60, and it feels like we did this problem a minute ago. Y would have to be equal to 12. So, turning my paper over, y is 12, because 5 times 12 is 60. Y is 12, because 5 times 12 is 60. This whole angle is 60. So, a couple ways we could do this. I'm willing to bet x has to be 30, because, that's right, because this has to be 30, because, well, I think it looks like they cut it in half, right? But let's double check. This angle is 60, that's 90. Let's double check. So 60 plus the 90 is 150. Yep, and another 30 makes 180. So this is definitely 30. Okay, let's see this one. Another equilateral triangle. I have this is 60, this has to be 60, this has to be 60. So what would y need to be for 2y to equal 60? Y would have to be 30, right? Because 2 times 30 is 60. Now, if all the angles are equal, all the sides are equal, and that's why its name is equilateral. So these 2 sides have to be equal. And now let's just use algebra to solve. Beautiful. We can plug this back in to double check, but we should reconfirm that those sides are equal. Cool. Okay, 3 more, almost done. We have 2 lines here, which means these 2 angles have to be equal, and this is a line of symmetry. So if that's 43, this is 43, and we could solve for the big angle on the top. So the big angle here all right, I think it's 94. So let's just double check. 94 plus 86, 10 carry the 1. Yeah, 180. So this big angle, not these little ones, but this big angle has to equal 94. Okay. So 43, 43, 94. And this is a line we fold on. So half of it would have to be 94 divided by 2. 47. So x has to be 47. Pretty cool. If this is 10, y has to be 10. The reason why is they put marks on both of them. So if they told you that one 10, that has to be 10 because they put those marks there. Okay, last, what does Z have to be? Well, if we think of this, if we fold this, just like we did today, that's going to be at a 90 because 47, 43, this last angle would have to be 90. 47 and 43 adds up to 90. That last angle would have to be 90 because this is also a triangle, and that would have to add up to 180. So if this is a right triangle and you know that's 10, and you know this is 5 already, you know that these two angles are fully on top Iani. So this is 5. Z also has to be 5. Z is equal to 5. Cool? I think it's cool. Okay, let's take a look at this. Now, this is 60, and this doesn't look like an equilateral triangle, but I think they made it look weird so that you'd be fooled. This is 60, which means what's left over for the two bases? If I subtract 60, I get 120, and that means if I cut that in half, this has to be 60 and 60. Now, they didn't make it look like an equilateral triangle on purpose to trick us. Now let's look at this one. Both of these are 50. 50 and 50, so that means 50 plus 50 is 100. So what's left over? 80. So this one has to be 80. 80, 50, and 50 add up to 180. 60, 60, 60 adds up to 180. So X is 60, Y is 80, Z is 60. Okay. 9, 9, and 9. All the sides are equal, so all these angles have to be equal too. And not equal to any old number, they have to all equal 60. So 5Z has to equal 60, 3X has to equal 60, 4Y has to equal 60, everybody has to equal 60. So Z has to be equal to 12, X has to equal 20, this one I can't do in my head. 15. Y has to equal 15. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck on your homework. Hope you got most of those right without my help. Have a great weekend.